I use a lot of really simple, dumb materials, like a lot of wood, I do a lot of like work on paper, like drawings and with ink on paper and prints. And so all these things that are really kind of like basic sort of gestures, I try and use those in a lot of different ways and kind of amp them up in one way or another, whether it's scale or whether it's the method to make those things that kind of like confounds things or complicates things, or also kind of makes them believable again in some way. It's also totally self-serving in some ways. It's like, oh, I want to build this thing, and so I'm going to do it, and then, you know, it kind of is what it is, and I don't spend too much time thinking about its particular position, or even is it art, or is this a design project, or is this a ceiling fan? And it's kind of like neither of those things. A lot of choices made in the studio do have to do with the reaches of the faculties that I have. You know, it's like I'm not good at making drawings, so I build a machine to make drawings with. You know, and so it's a lot of these kind of like awareness of limitations, but then exploiting those. A lot of ways I think I work sort of like a designer. I spend a lot of time like planning. You know, like I have like, you know, pieces go through 3 or 4 iterations on paper before they, you know, become physical objects. It's sometimes how that works, especially more so for the bigger pieces, just because there's a certain economy involved in producing bigger pieces. But then I keep really active sketchbooks that have 10 years worth of pieces to be made. So in that way, it's more similar to like the responding to previous gestures, because one piece often leads into the next, into the next, into the next. So it's very linear that way, but it's kind of like a little bit more of like a swirly line as it sort of progresses, as far as like one piece influencing the next. But it's also a lot of planning ahead and developing processes or methodologies or ways or reasons for making something that then gets executed, and the execution is also very important. For example, like the drawing machine, there's, you know, like I spent this time like developing this essentially tool that I use, but then also the kind of like part that people see is the sort of record of using this machine to make, you know, like these 7-foot drawings. So their execution bears like an indexical mark that's important in part of the piece, but then also a big part of the piece is also sort of the preparatory kind of construction and making that sort of led to the piece being what it is. All of making work is like doing anything that you're passionate about, or doing anything that's not like an obvious way to go about things. You have to kind of figure it out. You know, you just have to kind of, you know, put your head down and keep your legs pumping and just do it until you're not the only one believing in it. So.